here in Ullapool to make a start on the Ascent variant to the Cape Wrath Trail. Now, in former years, there used to be a ferry that operated from the other side there over to Ullapool Harbour, but it doesn't exist anymore. So there's not really a logical start to the Ascent variant on foot, unless you're prepared to bring a pack raft. So I've decided I'm going to start here and do the Ascent variant up to Inchnadamph. The weather's been exceptionally dry, so it's forecast to be good all week, so looking forward to a really nice time out in the wilds. Now, I've got a nice map behind me where I will explain my intended route. Right, here's the route. From Ullapool, we cut up some lochs, go round the Postman's Path, up between the two lochs there, round the back of Stack Polly, up over Suilven and kind of round the flanks of Canisp to Inchnadamph. Just left Ullapool and turning up this track just past the golf course. A way marker on the hill above. Now climbed out of Ullapool, heading off into the interior. Then a blue box at the gate. Not a hint of these decades old trees on my newly purchased 2025 OS maps. Actually quite a tough haul from Ullapool up through those trees. Quite intricate route finding. Be nice to get onto the open moorland beyond that gate. You can perhaps make out the wee jetty there that the ferry used to cross from in the old days. Down now to pick up that track and up over there. Or even better, follow the path, which is now quite good in this quartzite country. It's the morning of day 2, first full day. The plan today is I'm going to walk down to Strathkinnaird, round the Posties path towards Achiltabui, and then cut across behind Stack Polly up to Lochs and Oscaig. That's going to be 33 kilometres. That's what I need to do if I want to stay on track to get up to Whitenhead. If on the other hand I decide that I'm just going to do an Ascent crossing, might stop a bit earlier, but going to get on the road reasonably early and see how far I get. Tempting to have a few casts here, but really I want to press on, get myself a decent camping fish spot tonight. I camped up near the end of that dammed loch, but down there beyond the dam is potentially nicer spots actually. There's a little spit down there I could have aimed for, but Anyway, one for next time. This is actually the primo camp spot right here. Cracking view, nice short grass. Can see the day's march in prospect from here. So I'm going to descend to the coast around that peninsula there below Benmore Coigach. Going to cut right around the back of Stack Polly, which was burnt in those recent fires, and then all going well we'll be camping below Culmore, which is the rightmost peak there. Right, that's me, had my first brush with the main road. I'll pass it again near Stack Polly, and then there'll be no road until Inchnadamph. Turning down now towards the coast to pick up the postage path. We detour to the beach at Duncana, where I'm going to stop for a coffee. That was a good wee detour down to the beach. Now up over the postage path to Ascent. Done about 15k today, so I'm going to stop for a proper lunch. I'm thinking that I'm probably not going to do the full walk I had planned and just spend my time in food, getting my way to Inchnadamph. I can get a morning bus from there to Ullapool and on to Inverness. So that seems like a better option than rushing through it. It's quite tough going. It's very hot, so I think I'm just going to chill out and enjoy it. I'll probably camp on the shore towards the end of this postage path rather than pressing on inland, but I will see how I feel when I get there. Another nice little cool oasis. Not often in Scotland you have to stop and pour water over yourself to keep cool, but today is such a day. nearing civilization of sorts. Tarmac meltingly hot. Spot tapas before dinner. Very good camp spot for tonight. Cracking view out to the Summer Isles, and it will keep the sun until after 9 o'clock. Perfect. That was a fine night's sleep. I had one or two midge about in the morning. Just had to remove a tick from the back of my knee. But insect issues aside, looking like another amazing day on the trail, so should be on the move before 7 o'clock today. The midge have actually become quite bad now, so I'm really looking forward to getting away from this place. Let's get on the go. Bank of fog out to sea there, up in the far north. Turning up here towards a wind turbine to start the 6k or so crossing over towards Stack Polly. Right, this is where the meat of this crossing begins. Trackless terrain up over that ridge ahead. Perfect conditions for a crossing like this though. Everything bone dry after about 6 weeks without rain. So it's going to be as easy as it ever gets, including the river crossings. Got a view down the other side now, down over Paul Bain to Ullapool, Inchnadamph, and then as I move round, the fabulous peaks that will be among for the remainder of this trip. Suilven in the centre there, which we're going up over the Bialach in the middle, hopefully camp on top. But today we're going behind Stack Polly, which was burnt quite recently, start of the spring. You can see it's really greened in nicely already. Nice breeze up here, so I've stopped for a second cup of coffee of the day. It's a lovely spot to sit and admire the view. Only a few casts to get a nice brown trout. We're going to have that for a trout breakfast. And there's some breakfast. Two nice fish. That's them cleaned up. And there we go, living off the land. A delicious fish breakfast. This river crossing looks absolutely fine. Excellent to be walking after a drought. Second instalment. Over 4 hours to make the crossing from Achill to Boo there to the road. I did include a bit of fishing, cooking and eating time, but onwards. Going a kilometre or so up this Suilven road. This next section looks pretty tough. I'm going up that ridge, up over on to the lump to the left of Stack Polly, then descending quite a long way through rough country to camp beside a hidden loch. Then next day, or maybe in 2 days time, I'll be heading up over Suilven, hopefully taking the opportunity to sleep on top. But the next 7k I think will take quite a while, and I'll be glad when they're done. Just on the edge of the Stack Polly burn site here. You can see it's all greening up again quite nicely. Burnt up over that way. Loch Sionaskeg down there with the wooded island in it. Actually cuts quite far in to below Calbeg, and that's where I'm hoping to camp this evening. Not that far away distance wise, but it's going to take a while to get there. Right, this shows the last part of today's sport. So I'm going to head down this valley in front. I'm going to take a left before I hit that first loch. This one, I'm going to cut through those rocky hills to where there is a tiny beach there. And that is where I plan to stop for tonight. If we pan round, you can see the very rough country that awaits in the days after. This is us getting into the meat of it, of this crossing of Assynt. Looks like some people camp within that wooded island. Thing I've always wanted to do. picked up a path for the last few hundred metres here. Hopefully there's going to be somewhere to camp just up here. I was a bit concerned when I saw that deep channel I want to get across, but fortunately it's very easy to cross here. That was pretty blowy overnight and still quite breezy this morning. Plan today is do a bit of fishing around this spot, then I may spend another night here, but I think probably be better to move on later on in the afternoon up to the far end of the loch where the 1 to 25,000 map actually shows a settlement, or the remains of a settlement with the same name as the loch, St Oscaig. So it'd be good to go and see what gives Loch St Oscaig its name. That's a nice trout for breakfast. I'll enjoy chomping that one. Very pleased with that. That's a nice sized fish. Needs trim to fit it in the pan. Fresh trout with olives and sauces on. Delicious. Decided just to stay here for a second night. So this afternoon's entertainment is behind that ridge behind me is another larger loch. So I'm going to walk upriver, hopefully manage to get across it, and then there's tracks I can follow to bring me right back round that way. So I should fill in the afternoon and maybe I'll catch a fish or two while I'm at it. Definitely a nice little loch, but no interest from the trout yet. Primo camp spot in there. Is it even visible? Yeah, you can just see the tent there. In reverse. What a primo camp spot. Lovely. That must have been a cracking bothy at some point. That's me packed up, ready to leave this rather lovely campsite between Culmore and Culbeg. Today's plan is to march across the rough country towards Suilven, and I'll either camp before it, camp on top of it, or camp after it. TBD when we get there. Beautiful morning for fishing, but I don't really want to be carrying fish about with me. What a day for it today. Great day for trudging. And there's Suilven. Objective full day. The route I've got in my phone takes quite a high line over there, but I'm intrigued by the ruins that clash down there, so I'm going to go and check them out. And then I suspect there'll be some kind of reasonably logical foot routes between them and the Sheilings up at the end of the loch, but time will tell. Quite extensive ruins, although you would struggle to get a tent up here today. I wonder what people did while living here. Skeg at the far end of the loch. I'm going to pause here for a bit of fishing, some lunch, maybe a dip. And just like that, another lovely fish. Yeah, that one's a beauty. Only need one of them for my lunch. That was a quick bit of fishing. And just like that, another nice fish. I'm going to eat this one too. Beautiful fish. What a feast we're in for today. Nicely seasoned up with some salt and pepper. What a spot for lunch. Well, that was a fabulous fish lunch. Actually, couldn't have eaten much more than that. Disadvantage though is that I've now got uneaten sausage, olives and cheese weighing my bag down. So next time on a trip like this, I think I would actually bargain on catching some fish and factor that into my food rations. Anyway, onwards now towards Suilven. There were formerly quite a few buildings here. Collection up here, and down across the burn there's that thing that's more like an enclosure or a sheep fank. Could barely get a tent pitched about here nowadays though. Must have been very different in the past. And that's where we plan to spend tonight. You can just make out the pink path snaking up to the Bealach there between the two tops. All going well, by nightfall I'll be pitched up on the leftmost summit. What a camp spot this is. Fire pit, lovely flat grass, amazing view, fresh water. Just filled up with enough water to get me through the night, and 300 metres of climbing up to the ridge. Pretty steep and rough on the way up. Getting there though. To 10. That was a wonderful summit camp. Quite breezy early in the evening, but really still overnight. Just no movement in the air at all this morning, although there's a slight breeze getting up now, I've said that. So heading off now round the back of Canisp to Inchnadamph and Journey's End. Realised at the Bealach that I didn't have my solar panel with me. There it is, waiting for me. The final barrier on the way to the other summit. Actually, these are the final difficulties. I just met a man who'd bottled out on it, so hopefully I'm braver than him today. That was an enjoyable wee outing up to the other summit, but now going to go in reverse. Actually, well, one move, a quite tricky scrambling, and then back to my bag, back down to get some water. So that's a wee difficult step. There's a variety of ways you can do it. Seemed much easier on the way down than it did on the way up, strangely. Definitely much easier coming down this side compared to the other side. Lovely wee walking to have my lunch break at. Coming towards the end of this crossing of Assynt now. As always, a bit bittersweet. On the one hand, I'm looking forward to getting it finished. It's been a great outing. But on the other hand, I wouldn't be too disappointed just to resupply and continue on. So I definitely will come back at some point and link all this into a full Cape Wrath trail. But for now, I think finish off at Inchnadamph, head home, back to reality. I'd considered a final night's camping at this loch here, but it doesn't look great terrain for it, at least not without a freestanding tent. So I think I'm going to go over that hill, drop down to Inchnadamph, where I understand they have a beer shop which is open until 4 o'clock. Well, probably the last dip of the trip there. What an amazing spell of weather though, and what an amazing trip. Dry feet all the way, apart from the odd river crossing, and the water's actually warm for swimming. Just incredible. If I ever do this again, I have to hope for similar conditions again. And there it is, Inchnadamph, the end of Loch Assynt, and the end of this crossing. And a busy road. Closing in on that hotel now.